So let's start talking about map scales. Follow along through this presentation and complete the brief notes that you have with today's assignment. First of all, let's talk about these maps. This is what we've been using, but we've got a problem with this. There's something that we can't tell just by using these maps this way, and that is how far it is between two particular points. These maps are great for location. They can tell us where stuff is and where one thing is versus another. What they cannot tell us, at least the way it's presented here, is how far it is between 2 points. So let's take a look at some maps. Here we've got a map of Centennial High School. You can see the little blue dot right there in Google Maps. That's where Centennial High School is on the map. Here's another map. Still got the blue dot there showing us where Centennial High School is. Once again, another map with a blue dot. Still got it on Centennial High School. There's the blue dot on Centennial High School again. Centennial High School is still being shown on this map. It's still being shown on this map. But those maps were all very different. They all showed us where Centennial High School was on the map, but the maps are written differently. What's different about these maps is the scale. Let me go through it with you like this. If you consider this blank map of the United States, of the world, and you see this ruler, you can measure a distance on this piece of paper, whether it's a centimeter or an inch or 10 centimeters or 7 inches, it doesn't really matter. And you realize that some distance with that ruler equals some distance in real life. If you look at the United States there, it's about 3 centimeters across the United States. Now you know it's not 3 centimeters. It's 3 centimeters on this piece of paper, and that equals however far it really is across the United States. But with this map, it's 21 centimeters across the United States. Well, the United States didn't change how big it is. The land that makes up the United States is one size. What we've changed here is the map that we're using to represent the United States. Let's do this. Now we've just got a map of Georgia, and it's 11 centimeters across Georgia. We've got Atlanta. Now we've got, 15 to 20 centimeters across the Atlanta metro area. So we've got all these maps that really has the same place on it. All those maps had Atlanta on there. But the number that we read from the ruler is different every time. What about these two maps? They're of exactly the same thing. But a centimeter on that map at the top is different than a centimeter for that map on the bottom, even though they show the same real life place. What about this map? This map is bigger than the ruler. So a centimeter on this map is entirely different than a centimeter on either one of those two, even though all three of these maps show the entire world. What we're looking at here is called the map scale. The purpose of a map scale. This is why we've got to have it. It tells us what a length on the map, in other words on the piece of paper, represents in real life. A centimeter on this map is a different number of miles than a centimeter on this map. Well, in order to tell the distance between two places, we have to know what the scale is. It tells us that on this piece of paper, a centimeter is this many miles. Here's some examples of a map scale. So an example of a map scale would be saying something like 1 inch equals 1,485 miles, like we see in that top map. But the second map, the scale is 1 inch equals 585 miles. Most map scales are expressed this way. They're some distance on a piece of paper, usually an inch or a centimeter. And the scale says 1 inch or 1 centimeter equals this number of miles or this number of kilometers. Now those numbers of miles and kilometers will be different depending upon what the map is showing you, how big a piece of paper it is, or what area it is trying to show you. The scale of the map can either be large or small. Now a small scale map shows us a larger area, and it doesn't show us as many details. There's not as much stuff on it. A large scale map, however, shows a really small area with more detail. Think about it this way. There's a small scale map at the top. It's showing us a big area. We got lots of towns and big rivers, and you can see it's kind of a big area. Down the bottom, though, a large scale map might just show us a city block, a neighborhood, or something like a mall. That would be a large scale map. It doesn't show us a big area, but it gives us a lot of detail about the little things we might see. On a small scale map, like the one at the top, you don't get a lot of details. You don't see where one building is versus another. It just gives you a very wide view of a large area. These are examples of how you'll see some map scales on the actual maps that we use. We're going to use more maps that have the scale like you'd see in the upper right. It shows us 1 centimeter is equivalent to half a kilometer on the ground. Or this one here in the middle, 1 inch represents 3,000 miles. That's typically how we're going to see the map scales that we use in this class. Now, let's do some practice.
Determine what the distance is between places in real life. You can see from this map here, we've got some cities in the United States, and we are told that 1 centimeter on this map equals 56 miles. That means if I were to hold a ruler and I were to draw a 1 centimeter line, 1 centimeter, if I draw 1 centimeter on this map anywhere, that's equal to 56 miles. Whether it's a centimeter up here or a centimeter here, a centimeter anywhere on this piece of paper represents a 56-mile distance in real life. It also tells me that 2 centimeters would be 112 miles. 3 centimeters would be 168 miles. So using a scale, I can figure out how far it is between 82 points on this map. And that's what I want to know here. I want to know from Chicago to Richmond. How far would that be in real life? Now, I can use this map scale, and it's a heck of a lot easier than standing in Chicago and taking a really long tape measure all the way to Richmond. That's not very practical. But if I know the map scale, I can take something as simple as a ruler and figure out how far this really is. So here's what I'm going to do. If I know that 1 centimeter is 56 miles, I'm going to hold this from Chicago to Richmond, which is down here. I'll draw a line. And on my piece of paper, that's about 10.3 centimeters. So on the map, it is 10.3 centimeters. I know that in real life, each centimeter is 56 miles. If I multiply these two, it'll tell me how far it is in real life. So I'll take my calculator. I'll say 10.3 times how many centimeters this is on this piece of paper. Multiply that by